The content, views, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the City of Bremerton, BCAT, their officials, or their employees. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers Creative Showcase. My name is Mark Millard, and today I have a new victim, Kelsea Koops, one of our local authors, and she writes primarily in the fantasy realm. So thanks, Kelsea, for coming today. And as you can tell, we've got some of her books, and also we're going to have a little bit of explanation with her about her marketing, because she does things a little bit more unique because she goes to Renaissance fairs. So tell us a little bit about your fantasy series and how you got started.
I was bored at work. I worked the night shift and there wasn't a lot to do. So I started writing. And I had to write it, like handwrite it, because we weren't allowed to really do stuff on like the computers and stuff. So I started with just handwriting. I wrote, and I still do it. I still handwrite my rough drafts. Oh. I have stacks of notebooks of all my handwritten rough drafts. It's a young adult fantasy series, but as you can see, like I stayed away from some of the tropes. Like these aren't heroes and they don't have destinies. They're just people in this really kind of rough world. And so it starts out pretty nice, coming of age. You're like, oh, you know, a boy who wants to follow his heart, follow his dreams. But as they get exposed to trauma, the book series gets darker and darker because they don't know how to cope with stuff like that. Because I made them realistic people, so they make a lot of mistakes. They know how to handle stuff. They fail and they struggle and they argue and stuff like that. So I have a lot of not morals, but like lessons to learn about like how you should ask for help, and the people who ask for help do better by the end of the series. The people who don't ask for help end up going down. And I have a lot of other deeper meanings and theories within there.
So they're not superheroes.
No.
They're normal people that were pushed into abnormal situations.
Yeah, so it's a very like oppressive society that they're born into, where you're assigned your career and it's tattooed onto you. And if you break laws there, you get hanged. And so in this role, there's a dragon military, which is where the girl was born into, and the boy was born into bakery business. And he wants to fly, but that's straight treason. So he has to hide it at first. Eventually he, runs away and finds a society where he's allowed to do that as a sport. But the other society kind of always drags them back, and it's more of like a personal fight versus like, I'm trying to save the world. It's more like I'm trying to save myself, but then what they do causes a ripple effect to just the citizens and stuff that don't really know why the sky is on fire right now. And so
cool.
Then I have there's like one of my fourth books that's not out yet, actually follows people that are just in the background showing up the world.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you see them in the third book. They're side characters. But then they have their own story, showing that the world is three-dimensional. There's more and more layers to the world. Everybody's got their own story. So you follow a set, and then they end up being main characters in the fifth book, too.
So you actually have, like you said, normal people even in the background that all of a sudden, because of situations, wind up having their own adventures, as opposed to, like I said,
Yeah,
a superhero or somebody that was raised to be a hero or
Yeah, they're
something
just
like
average,
that.
like, you know, he's a baker. She was from the military. Then these other ones they're guards who you meet in this book, and they do things, or one of her classmates, he does stuff, and you're like, why does he do that? And then in that book you find out like why, because everybody's got their own story.
Right.
Even people in the background have their own story.
Which is reality in real life. That's what
In real life,
happens.
yeah, everybody's got something going on.
Yeah. And you spend quite a bit of time at Renaissance fairs.
Yes.
Correct. So you've got your dragon candles.
Yes.
And if people look at your
My outfit.
little outfit that
Yeah.
you designed yourself, and you bring a sword with you sometimes.
I'm a mace person.
Oh, you're a mace person. So you hit people.
That's why I have the little
Oh,
mace
okay.
necklace.
Okay, so you hit people with this mace. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's interesting. What's just out of curiosity, and that's one reason why I wanted you to come here and talk, because you do a lot of Renaissance showing your market, your ability there, and your books and everything. When you show up at a Renaissance fair, kind of what's the tone as opposed to something else?
When I show up to the Renaissance fair,
Yeah, when you go to a Renaissance fair to
as
to
in
do
like,
something.
just like
Well,
how
when
I
you-
feel.
Well, no, I mean I guess kind of compare a Renaissance fair to some other thing, like the state fair where we sell books and stuff
I guess
like
I never
that.
sold the books at the Renaissance fair.
Oh, you don't?
I just go there and hang out.
Oh, I thought you had tables.
No, I haven't been able for one to afford that.
Oh, okay. Well, they charge more, huh?
Yeah, they charge a lot, and then if you can't, do all the weekends,
Yeah.
you're less likely to get a booth because they're going to obviously hire people
Yeah.
who can be there every single time, and I can't afford that many weekends. I also got work, and
Yeah.
I can't afford to buy that many books.
So it's turned into that
sell.
big of a business, basically.
Yeah.
Renaissance fair. Okay, well, I learn something new every day.
I just go there because I just like to hang
Oh,
out there.
okay. But
Yeah.
you've also have that, when you do the other events and vendors, you do have, I guess you say, a Renaissance fair persona
Yeah.
that you have, because your books are fantasy-based.
So when you see my outfits, you can take a good guess of what genre
Yeah, exactly.
that I write in.
Yeah, as opposed to the rest of us, we just throw a sweatshirt on and
Yeah.
try to explain to people what we write. So, and looking at your books, of course, this was your first one, right?
Yeah. It's 1,
And-
2, 3, and then 4 and 5 are out
And
soon.
your first image here, the individual, one of the main characters, is falling.
Yeah.
And so then if you look at all the other covers, they also seem to be kind of falling and things like that. So kind of explain how that came about.
So I got that one was from actual scene in the book.
Okay.
Where he is fallen from the clouds. So the clouds are an orange tint because there's fire in the clouds because there's people hunting him. And
Right.
they're blowing fire because it's cloudy out and they're that's how the military is signaling to each other. They're using
Oh, through the dragons.
the dragon
Yeah.
fire to signal to each other in the thick, dense clouds. So he's fallen, and then those are the wings of his dragon. There's like the little dragon's tail on the back.
Oh, cool.
So that's how I got that one, and then I decided just to stick with the theme. So then I would change it as in his there's some small details like his eyes are opened in this one because he's accepted it and he's
Oh, okay.
ready to move on
Right.
from that place, but her eyes are still closed, but her armor is coming off, showing that she's starting to
Something's
Change.
Something's changing, yeah.
That's why in the third one, now her eyes are open and she's facing it and she's accepted what she's going to do, but her armor has changed colors.
So she's darker now.
Yeah, I changed it where
Yeah.
she's a very loosely a hero.
She's a dark hero. In other
Yeah,
words, yeah.
but she wears the dark armor, so she
Yeah.
fights. It's funny because the villain's actually wearing the silver and red and stuff. And then same with the books. 4 has the boys on the cover,
Right.
but their background is the castle walls because they're castle guards. And then
Okay.
the last book has the villain, and he's kind of has his arms out.
Yeah, and you've designed all your own covers.
I draw them, yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I designed them and I drew them.
So you're an artist also.
Yeah. It's like at end of every chapter, if I can find a chapter ending, I've drawn a picture.
Oh, cool.
Oh, she's
okay.
so it's one of the
there
villains,
you
like
go.
right there.
Good.
So yeah, so then even like this is just my handwriting. I designed the logo. That's just my handwriting. I handwrote this.
Okay, cool.
I was like, no AI. I drew and handwrote everything.
Okay. Remember that out in the audience. She's also an artist. So tell us about the dragons, because so many people have their own ideas of dragons when they have fantasy, in the fantasy realm as to what a dragon is. What kind of dragons are your dragons?
So there is like the wyvern, the ones with the two wings, like more like bat-like. That's
Right.
what she rides. But then the one that the boy rides is a different species that has a made-up name. Don't ask me to pronounce it right now.
Well, what's the difference between them and the traditional two-winged dragon?
So there is the traditional two. So there's different species of
Yeah.
dragons. So the Western dragon is the 4 legs, 2 wings,
Right.
scales. So his looks like that, except it has feathered wings. I got the idea from the Aragon movie.
Oh, okay.
I took it from Saphira. I will admit that that's what inspired me. But hers is the traditional kind. That's wyvern is a real kind. Same.
Right.
And when you go into book 2, they go to a new world that has 5 species of dragons that are all real species that I've researched up. So I didn't
Okay.
make any of those ones up. And there is the traditional ones like that.
Yeah.
And then, like these blue wings here are from a Quetzalcoatl. So they have
Oh.
like all kinds of
Oh, okay. I know what you're
species.
saying,
So I've
Quetzalcoatl,
branched out so there is not just one species of dragon.
Are they along the lines of the Asian intelligent dragons that talk and stuff, or not?
Yeah. So, but there's like the rules, like there is in always books, like they only talk to their rider.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's not an instant thing. There is a secret trick to learn how to do it. And that's one of the things that takes the girl 3 books to figure out. The boy figures it out pretty fast.
You almost did it instinctually.
Yes, I can't say what it is. Because that's one of the things.
That's going to give away the story. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah. But they all have unique personalities. So like those orange wings are Ignis. So he's sassy. And Goofy, he's the comedic relief. Him and Sterling the boy are like brothers. They hang out and they tease each other. Versus like Taika, she has more of a very stern, serious personality. Aether has more of a loving personality and stuff. They're all unique and like that.
So all the dragons are definitely substantial characters in the book.
Yeah.
They're not just they're not just a backdrop or a
Yeah,
prop.
like Ignis is one of the main characters.
Right.
Half that book is just him and Sterling talking. They're the only 2 main characters in like half that book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely a cognizant beings as opposed to like the old dinosaur type
Yeah.
dragon that just goes around, eats people, stuff like that. Do they eat people?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they don't.
But do you ever explain what they eat?
Yeah, he was eating fish one time. Ignis was eating. I showed him eating like a fish. I think he was eating. I don't know if I took it out or not. He was eating like a boar.
Oh, okay.
And he was explained that he has more of like a snake metabolism where he only eats a little bit and then
And, yeah, it takes a while, slowly
slowly
digests.
digests.
So how would you compare your dragons to, of course, the famous Game of Thrones dragons that everybody looks at now and goes nuts?
I don't know. I never watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, good. See, people, you don't have to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
But
I was
yeah,
like, I don't know.
they do they got dragons bond with the riders, but they run around. They're like tactical nuclear weapons in that world.
Oh.
So they use them to fry everybody all the time.
So I guess like in Wyverna, the oppressive world,
Yeah.
they're used as steeds basically.
Right.
So they're a cavalry. So
Right.
they're used as weapons, but they're treated like you have to bond with the dragon,
Right.
and you give it kind of like respect. But that's why I say they don't know how to talk to them yet. Versus, but she talks to hers, but she can't hear it back.
Oh,
Versus
that's unique.
yeah. Well, eventually she hasn't learned how.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But then the boy and his dragon said they're like brothers. He lives with the dragon. He hangs out with the dragon. It's like his best friend. They tease
Okay.
each other. What was the question again?
Well, we were just
Yeah.
talking about the whole idea of your dragons as opposed to a lot of other dragons like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I guess it
so-
all depends. Yeah, so like some of them use them for military. Some of them
Yeah.
use them as best friends.
Oh, okay.
And then over in the fun world, Lucasia, they ride them for sport. So
Oh,
nobody there knows the possibility that you can talk to the dragon, because to them they're just again like
Like a
horses,
horse,
like a
yeah,
horse, and they ride them they have like horse like dragon racing, and there's
Right.
games, and then once a year there's like a Olympic style month-long
Yeah,
match of
okay.
lots
Yeah.
of different kinds of games, which is what the boy joins in that. So that's where you see all the different kinds of dragons flying, but then yet he's the only one that can talk to his, which gives him an advantage.
oh, okay. It's like the humans are kind of dumb and don't realize what's going on with the dragons.
Yeah, they don't realize that the dragons are as intelligent as they are, and then said like there's the trick to it, but the humans don't accept the fact that dragons can talk, so then they can't.
They won't even try.
Yes, they're not going to try, and then they won't do that special trick to get to it, so then they never learn.
They're male and female dragons. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have, yeah, that's actually a male, that's a female, and then this one's
Okay.
actually a non-binary.
So when they have baby dragons, do they do the egg bit or do they do live birth?
I never had the babies. You
Okay.
find this one, you find if you meet Ignis as a fletchling,
Oh,
I know that there is like baby ones that they like interact with.
but you don't ever get into the.
My nose itches, ignore me.
Yep.
But you don't, I guess I would assume eggs, because there is one scene where he's hanging out with like little baby ones, he's
Right.
holding them. So I'm going to assume eggs.
Okay. Well, it's your world. You can assume
Then
anything you
I
want.
say eggs,
Yeah, you say eggs.
which
nice-
would make sense with these little candles.
Exactly. That's one nice thing about being an author. You can create
Yeah.
your own world.
It's my world, and I
My
say
world, and
eggs.
that's the way it is. So when you said you started writing out of boredom, but did you immediately go into dragons, or it was just?
I guess that was my first book I ever starting to write. Before that, I'd write like random scenes of books
Yeah.
things that never became anything. And then I wrote, way before I actually wrote them into books, I wrote this series as a short story.
Oh,
That is absolutely terrible, but I put it on my website so people can see it. It's really embarrassing, but I want people to know, like, see the growth that I have done.
yeah.
It's the most tropey thing ever. And, like, so I wrote this short story that I only wrote half of it, so I guess
Yeah.
maybe it was longer than a short story. And then when I was at my work bored, I was like, you know what, I'm going to actually, like, change this.
Try to, yeah.
And then make it into a full series. It meant to be one book, and then I got so into writing. Now it's 5 books.
And of course, yeah, and that's speaking of the experience. That's exactly what happens. And then you have characters that reach in from the character universe and beat you in the head, telling you that they want to change in their character,
Yeah,
and
I
tell
have-
you that you have to write this scene.
I have a bunch of those. Like, my favorite is actually my favorite character. My character, Quillen, he becomes one of Sterling's really good friends. He was supposed to be a villain, but then he ends up, when I was writing him, he ended up becoming this really complex character he's quiet and he seems aloof and rude, and a bit of a prick, but he's actually has this really troublesome past, and he's quiet because he's actually depressed. And so then you get to learn about him.
Okay.
And so he ended up becoming a complex character who has two of his own short stories. At the end of my books, I put short stories.
Oh, cool.
So you can get more into the
Yeah.
characters. So he has two of the short stories, like through his perspective of the world, and then he ends up becoming a primary character, one of the most humble characters. And he was supposed to be a villain, and
Yeah.
now he's the most humble character there is.
Okay, and I would say that from your description, you're really into character development, which I like because
Yeah.
I think that's what Hollywood is screwing up on, is they strictly do with explosions and
Yeah.
they don't do a lot of character development, which I say leads to a more interesting plot than just, like you said, the tropes, where everything is stereotypical heroes and villains
Yeah.
and, all that
This
stuff.
is very muddied.
Yeah, this is, well, which reflects reality, because reality can be very,
Yeah.
muddied up and stuff. So I know with Claw, we're trying to do things like we have the Kitsap Fair and, of course, Blackberry Festival and stuff like that. I think you were going to try to do the Kitsap Fair if your work schedule was right.
No, I
Oh, okay.
don't think I was going to do any of
Oh, okay.
the fairs.
Because of okay.
the kind of work and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the audience out there. That is part of the problem is if you're retired like me, you've got a little bit more freedom. But if you're still trying to work and then become an author, you have to balance everything.
Yeah.
And try to work things out and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know that's
So-
why I'll do the Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah.
I'll have those because I can pick what weekend I want out of
Right.
the year. Like so far I have one confirmed, December 12th, Lakewood,
Good.
Washington.
Oh, okay,
I'm
good.
still waiting on Silverdale's reply.
Yeah. How have there been Barnes and Noble been doing for you?
Great.
Good.
For one, I love sitting in a bookstore, so I'll sit in a bookstore all day. But yeah, I've always had a blast doing the Barnes and Noble ones, and I've always had a pretty good, I guess, success for. I'll be there for hours, but I get to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I usually get a good turnout.
Okay. Well, greatly appreciate you coming here today, and 'cause I wanted to get here for one thing to show people that how you can do additional displays and you can actually dress up as your characters, things like that, to draw attention to your writing. Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers, of course, exists for that. We try to help all types of creatives and artists be able to bring their creations to the public out there. Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers, we meet the first and third Wednesdays of every month at Denny's on Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Washington. Official meeting starts at 7 o'clock. And any type of creative, painter, sculptor, filmmaker, book writer, whatever, stop on by and we try to share our experiences so you don't make the same mistakes we did. This specific interview will be broadcast on Comcast Channel 12 and Astound Channel 3 or the digital Channel 70. And it's broadcast 6 p.m. every Saturday. You can also look up the Claw YouTube channel where we have well over 100 various shows over 10 years of shows on there. And you can see, I guess you can actually see the development of some of the authors that we went back and re-interviewed them. Thanks to Bremerton Kitsap Access Television, and also my publisher, Blue Forge Press, who does the editing for these shows. Thanks to their efforts, of course, we have these interview shows. Without their assistance, this type of Claw broadcast would not exist. So, if you are thinking of creating anything, just remember that you can. Feel free to come by a Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers meeting, or for that matter, if you happen to see us at one of the events, come by and talk to us sitting at the tables. We're open to all type of creativity. And with that, have a very pleasant day, a productive week, and an excellent year. Good day.